welcome back everyone, welcome back to our third broadcast of the night. We just wrapped up with the KSL earlier in the day, followed by, of course, our previous broadcast, the OSC King of the Hill, and now we are back with something a little bit different, something a little bit special, the Fresh Copy Pots Cup of Glory #1. I'm not sure if we're going to have more, not sure if we're going to be continuing this as a series, but this is an event sponsored by a community member. A person by the name of Fresh Copy Pot in the chat, not in our chat, but in Dave Testa's chat. A big shout out to Dave Testa for facilitating for this event and for making this tournament happen here. So again, it was a viewer from Dave Testa's chat did contribute to the prize pool, and Dave Testa has created this event. Of course, he's going to be casting over on his channel, and we are going to be casting over on our own. So two English streams here, ourselves and Dave Testa. We will eventually meet in the finals. At least I hope so. I hope we're able to kind of spread ourselves out and cover as much as we can in this event. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. This is an open tournament. It is open to all players from all shapes, from all sizes, from all regions. And we are here with our first matchup, and spawning in the top right-hand corner, of Alkione, we have the Polish Zerg player representing Twisted Minds. It is Aristori. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the American Terran player, the Yellow Terran representing Berserker Esports. It is FoxeR. Let's go. Again, it is an open tournament to all. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. The bracket just went live, and we have quite a turnout, quite a bracket before us here. A lot of amazing players, a lot of amazing matches to be had as well, and oh boy, we'll get into it. A lot of players from Europe. We even have some North Americans as well. Much love to FoxeR and the like. We also even have players from Southeast Asia. I did notice Honmono slipping into that bracket as well. Not just Honmono, but Xingming, who's of course a Chinese Protoss player, and many others. Of course, we can go over the brackets after the series, after we wrap up with our first matchup, our best of 3, a TvZ. Beautiful. Here we go. And this is going to be an interesting one. I know that FoxeR, of course, he did take a bit of a break from the game a couple of years ago, you know, was playing on and off more part-time, but over the past year of StarCraft, FoxeR has been putting in the work. He has been putting in the hours, and that was reflected in his performance in DreamHack Atlanta, the regionals, where FoxeR did better than he's ever performed before. So it's really cool to see FoxeR peaking in skill this year. I'm sure that's going to be translating in the year to come in 2024. Not just that, but FoxeR has also been streaming a lot, has been, of course, posting a lot of content live quite a bit on his Twitch channel, and yeah, we'll see how he can compare against a player of the likes of Aristori. Now, Aristori, he's had an interesting road. So he has been competing for a couple of years now, that is true. But on top of that, Aristori has also been hosting events. It's been really cool to see. He's been hosting his own events, sponsoring his own show matches and tournaments, and yeah, just trying to give back to the community as much as he can, especially his own Polish community as well. It's been really cool to see Aristori spread his wings. Nowadays, I think he's kind of like got his hand in content creation and in competing as well, trying to do both. But we'll see if he can, of course, keep up with FoxeR. How do they compare to each other? I would like to believe that they're pretty similar in skill, but we'll see. As FoxeR behind this, going for a very economic opener, going for a third CC before Starport, so very economic here by our Yellow Terran player. Likewise, across the map, Aristori going to be going for a hatch gas pull into a third base standard opener from our Zerg player. Economic opener out of our Terran. So nothing too wild here in the early game. Everything kind of looking as it should. There's no kind of earlier aggression or anything like that. We have our add-on swap on the way, and there is a starport. Now we'll see if there's a tech lab on this Rax, or if we go for a vanilla Rax instead. There's potential to go into something like Cloak Banshees, or we could just go into Hellions alongside a Liberator instead. Speaking of, Reaper going to be dancing with the army. Ooh, trying to pick up a tumor, but so far good movement here out of Aristori. Does zone away that Reaper. Back at home, Tech Lab is on the way. We are poised for an add-on swap. If we do go for it, that will lead into Banshee production. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards here as the Tech Lab does complete, and there's that lift. There's the add-on swap. It's going to be a third CC into Cloak Banshee, so again, Pretty standard setup here from our yellow Terran. With this, we can, of course, have access to, or potential for economic damage. Hellions going to be threatening one end, we're going to have Cloak Banshees threatening the other. It's going to be on Aristori to defend and to recognize what's going on. Big stay out coming in as the Overlord does dive into the main base, and we do get eyes on the 1-1-1. Meanwhile, Hellions trying to pick up some of these creep tumors, unable to, unfortunately. The tumors will survive. Overlord does confirm the researching tech lab, so we're fully aware of the Cloak Banshees, and we should soon be focusing on Queen production and soon be throwing down Spore Crawlers. So really good scout there from Aristori. Back at home, he's just droning. As we mentioned, Spore Crawlers are on the way. We have a Spore in every single mineral line so far, and the Hellions have yet to really deal too much damage, but there's going to be an opportunity when the Banshees arrive. Not just because the Banshees can deal damage, but because they can distract the Queens. Ideally, you have one or the other, where the Banshees come in, they drag the Queens to one end, and then the Hellions can dive into a mineral line, or the other, where the Hellions keep the Queen busy, and then the Banshee goes in and gets more damage done. It's going to be on Aristori to defend. It's going to be on Aristori to try to split up his forces and keep up with the movement here of the Terran. Behind this, we are getting into our tech of choice. It's going to be a standard opener. It's going to be a lair first into Baneling Nest. So this is going to be a prioritization of Baneling speed. We're going to be delaying 1-1 upgrades in favor of Baneling. So just a really safe way to play here overall. Very standard play out of Aristori. You can see the Queens are being dragged over here by the Banshee. As we mentioned, the Hellions, they go for the dive. There are a handful of Lings in position, but that's a lot of Hellions. The Hellions, they're burning their way through. They do work their way through the Lings, and now we can go for the mineral line. We do bust in. Drones are under fire. They're going to be lining up. 5 workers go down. So I say 5, 7 drones do fall here. Good damage being dealt by FoxeR. At the same time, the Banshee is not done. We're getting a couple workers here at the natural base. 9 workers go down in total. The Hellions, some of them can escape, as it looks like they will all be shut down. But pretty good damage. Remember, like, Hellions, they do kind of fall off into the mid-game. They don't scale amazingly as the game goes on. So very nice damage dealt here by FoxeR. Able to roast up 10 workers. Banshees are still alive, by the way, so they can still threaten the Queens and still threaten the mineral lines. As FoxeR's getting into his third base saturation. Again, Aristori, he was looking so good up until this point. He was doing so well keeping up with the Hellions and the Banshees, but alas, we were pulled apart. And FoxeR, he is in this. Behind this, we have our gases being taken. That is a second factory on the way. This tells us that FoxeR is going for a 4cc. He's going for a bit of a longer game, setting up into a more macro game, which makes sense on Alcyone. I know that we didn't really get to talk about it. This is our 4cc, as if on Q. But again, as we were mentioning, Alcyone is very much so a macro-oriented map. There are a lot of bases to be taken. Your 3 and 4 base setup is very well defended here with these points of elevation, with these ramps, with the high ground. Of course, we can expand here on the right-hand side, and then we can take the goal base as a 5th as well. So, yeah, FoxeR, he can really get into the swing of things here, and it's going to be on Aristori to try to bounce back. And what is the plan here? Aristori, he's barely ahead in workers. Ooh, a little bit supply blocked. He's going to be making 4 overlords behind this, getting into Ling Bane. Now, Aristori has options. He can go Ling Bane Hydra, he can go Ling Bane Muta with Aspire, he can go into a fast infestation pit and go Ling Bane into Ultra play instead. We'll see how he does refine himself here. Ling Bane for now, but this is kind of the basis for a multitude of different compositions. Double jump does come in. So for our hot pickup, we do avoid those Ling Bane. We avoid them. Gonna be able to back up, gonna be able to drop here on the other side of the rocks. So far, FoxeR able to maintain his army. Aristori is keeping up, trying to knock down these rocks, making it a little bit easier to defend on his side of the map. Behind this 4th base being taken, interesting location, going for the linear 4th here, instead of expanding on the right-hand side. Your Marine's gonna be pushing in. FoxeR trading with Ling Bane. Oh! Decent target firing, but a handful of Marines do go down. That's 7 Marines falling. Oof, that was brutal. This was once 2 medevacs full of Marines, now only 1. A good connection out of Aristori. Creep is being denied. It is being cleaned up on both ends. Overall, FoxeR still maintains his position here as he establishes his 4th base. Meanwhile, we have our tech of choice. It is going to be the Hydra Den for Aristori. So Ling Bane Hydra here. A pretty common composition in this matchup. Pretty standard is what I should say. It'll be Lingbane Hydra. We do have our Infestation on the way to get the Hive Tech. This could lead into something like Lurker Tech, but for the most part, Lingbane Hydra into Viper is a solid enough composition until we do get to late game. And we have a tri-pronged attack. We have reinforcers pushing to the left-hand side. We have a double drop here in the center. Ooh, Banelings will connect, and we have a mind drop here on the right. Aristori doesn't react in time. A bit of a late reaction, but he will keep those drones alive. Able to pull away at the same time. The Queens! The Queens overextend into tank fire. One Queen falls. But Aristori, he cleans up the double drop. He cleans up, sorry, the mind drop even. Now we can focus on his defenses here on towards the left-hand side. He's keeping up with the drop play as well. So far, so good. Aristori is keeping up. Oh, God! The Banelings not quite connecting them. Those medevacs are so low. And FoxeR does back off. He retreats here to his 4th base where he's got 2 more CCs on the way. There would be 5th and 6th. We should be keeping them as orbitals for now, though. These Banelings are rolling in. Good connections! We even shut down that Widowmine as well. Aristori catching out some of the army. He is maxed out, working on 2-2. The creep is looking decent enough for Aristori. It's going to be a rough position to engage. FoxeR's tanks are so exposed. Lingbane going to be crashing on in. One tank goes down, but the other does survive. And that was a big overextension out of Aristori. Yeah, losing most of his Lingbane. He does have to pull back. Does have reinforcements. Trying to fight on creep. Lingbane coming in from behind. He collapses on the tank. Big mine shot going up. But the tank does fall. And Aristori, he can back off from here. He doesn't have to engage. He did lose a lot of Lingbane though. Aristori in a bit of trouble here. Force the morph in, but here we go. FoxeR smells blood in the water. Yeah, starter steps forward. There's no Banelings ready. Without any Banelings, we are snowballing out of control. These Banelings will not finish. They've barely done. They finish up just in time. We get some decent connections, and can we barely hold on? We can. Medevac does fall. We can see FoxeR rallying everything across the map. He knows that he is so close to breaking Aristori. So close to breaking the Zerg. Desperately, we need more Banelings. Banelings are being morphed in. Hive Tech is on the way. Aristori on a decent drone count on 92. He has an economy, but he needs larva. Something that Aristori has been missing is injects. We are lacking injects here. We are lacking larva. We have 1k minerals in the bank, and Aristori cannot spend his money. Ay. Just too many queens have fallen. Yeah, we only have 5 queens here with the 6 bases that we have. Meanwhile, FoxeR going to be expanding, taking his 5th, getting more CCs up and running. Aristori, he has a moment to breathe. He's recovering, he's rebuilding, remaxing. We're mixing in some investors. Interesting choice. There's potential, definitely. As we're going for a double drop on the right-hand side and a singular mine drop here towards the left. Drop is going to be deflected. Creep is receding. Drop comes in. 2 Widowmines will burrow and up. No reaction. No reaction. 11 drones go down. Good damage being dealt here from FoxeR. 11 more workers on the way. At the same time, push on the right-hand side. Aristori having a hard time keeping up. Again, good trades here. Kiting off of creep. Speaking of, again, very limited creep spread here for Aristori. He's barely connecting his bases. He has no presence on the map. And FoxeR has been left untouched. This is a greedy 5th. No planetary, by the way. This is wild. This base is so exposed, so vulnerable. But Aristori doesn't know. He is not aware of the base. He's been stuck defending. And he hasn't had time to think about attacking. And as a result, FoxeR is just getting away with murder at this point, especially once he gets his gas up and running. Behind this, Ghoster on the way, 333 in production as well, more orbitals. FoxeR is getting into his game. Meanwhile, it's going to be Lingbane Hydra into Ultra, not into Lurkers. Okay, we have our late game composition of choice. I don't know how I feel about it. Ultras are okay if we're able to fight on creep, but there's no creep. That's the problem, is that creep is receding left and right. And without map control, Ultra's going to have a hard time really engaging. They're going to have a harder time pushing into these entrenched positions as well. Double drop going to be forced back. Trying to spread as much creep as possible. We have how many infestors? 2 infestors here with the main army. A handful of fungals. More CCs on the way. And so far, oh my god, I was curious. FoxeR even mining from the gold from the other side. Okay, not bad. It's got around half a base. Not too bad here. even sending some of his SCVs across map, which is a wise choice. FoxeR, he's on 93 SCVs. He has too many workers at this point. He has to get rid of them. He has to refine his army, pushing into the left-hand side. He will knock down this base. Force a cancel. More creep is proceeding. Big link counterattack, catching some ghosts. FoxeR, does he pick up? Clutch lift there. Workers are saved. Bases are being scouted. And now Aristori, he's aware of the gold. Kind of. We're finally going to be pushing out. Aristori, yeah, pushing towards that gold base. Gets eyes on the mining. More mine shots going to be going off as well. And can we get a kill on the CC? Looks like not quite. Big snipes go off. Good engage here out of FoxeR. It does clean up a lot of those Hydras. Forcing back the army. Re-establishing these bases. I'll be honest, I've seen Zerg players, I've seen Dark expand like this. I haven't seen a Terran expand like this. Not quite. Oh, the ghosts! The ghosts are being left behind! Ooh, this is a rough trade here for FoxeR. A lot of ghosts going to be going down. The Banelings, they will engage. They will crash in. The split's not good enough. Nowhere near. We catch the Marauders as well. This was a big blow for FoxeR. That was 7 ghosts going down. 5 Marauders. You can see FoxeR plummet in supply. That was a really rough fight. An expensive loss there for FoxeR. That's why he's hurting so much here. He has a bank to rebuild, but he needs time. And suddenly, Aristori has momentum. These fringe bases are getting up and running. Aristori remaxing so quickly. And it takes quite some time to rebuild those ghosts. Here we go, Aristori collapsing on forward once again. We do have a handful of Liberators, but we have those Hydras. Not enough room here. We do pick up a handful of ghosts, a handful of Marauders. 13 SCVs do go down. Where are the Hydras, by the way? They were dealt with. Ooh, Aristori overcommitting, pushing into these fringe bases, pushing into the mineral line. But he's going to be losing a lot. Lings, they float on in. SCVs are going down, but this is a big trade here for Aristori. Behind this, 29 Hydras. I understand we need some anti-air. True. But 29 Hydras is a bit much. I'm hoping that we can throw down a Spire behind this, but for now we're just committed to Lingbane Hydra. Liberators are sieging up. This position is getting fortified. Again, I'm not too fond of the lack of planetaries here. That's why these bases are so vulnerable. That's why we can push in. Speaking of, oh, these lids are exposed. 1, 2, 3 Liberators go down, and we can focus down the CC. Yeah, the base will fall. FoxeR being forced further and further back. We're bleeding out some Hydras, which is probably a good thing. We probably don't need this many Hydras. Jog towards the left-hand side is going to bring down a base. Solid pick up here from FoxeR. Aristori does at least have bottom right. He needs the space up and running as well. Likewise, FoxeR getting another Nexus? Another planetary up. Ling Rabbi coming in, and finally Aristori, he gets eyes on these CCs. He had no idea this base was taken. He had no idea the FoxeR was mining. And again, these are all orbitals. Only a handful of Lings are needed to harass. Speaking of, almost catch another CC. Once again, the Hydras will be bleeding out. Gonna be forced back here as FoxeR's gonna be focusing his attention towards the south. At the same time, Aristori going for his own run by. And this mineral line is so exposed, and finally we punish it. SCV is going to be going down. Army's rotating over. That's going to be 10 dead workers. As we caught a couple of Hydras. We do see Aristori overextending here, overstaying his wealth, and does get a mineral line, does get 16 SCVs. Does get 16 workers. And just like that, FoxeR, he is quite far behind here in the worker count. Does have mules. To be fair, he can rely on mules here. He can sustain himself. But he did lose his gold. Aristori just checking, making sure. Gonna try to collapse on this position as well. And we dive on top of the tanks. We connect here with some of these ghosts as well. Ooh, an awkward position for FoxeR. He's getting caught out. A lot of ghosts and marauders do fall. From here, Aristori gonna be retreating. Meanwhile, the Ultras, remember them? Remember the Ultra Cavern? Well, we're getting into it. Ultras are on the way. I do like this. As the ghost count has been whittled away at, we've lost 11 ghosts so far. Ultra's that much more viable. Planetary is here, but we're going to be able to focus it down. Yeah, no repairs. Planetary does fall. We can get on top of the tanks as well. These are big pickoffs. 2, 3 tanks fall. At the same time, double drop on the right-hand side. Aristori out of position. Drones are falling as well. But we have the Ultras. We do have our Ultras to defend. Aristori taking another base. Ooh, as we have muled hard here towards the left-hand side. A bit of a mule hammer on this CC. Is getting up and running. But I do want to say that Aristori is mainly in control. I mean, I say that FoxeR has a bank, and he still has bottom right. Aristori still has seen it, but it is a planetary. Is it going to be a little bit more difficult to actually take advantage of? On top of that, Aristori, he's falling a little bit behind when it comes to his upgrades. Never started +2 range, never threw down a Spire for Corruptors, for Brood Lords. Our tech here is lacking for our Zerg player. Now, Lingbane Hydra can be okay if we're taking fights. Like, if we're engaging in the center of the map, like, that's what this is for. When it comes to pushing into, like, entrenched siege lines, a little bit less so. Thankfully, there aren't actually that many tanks. So they do come in from the left-hand side. We can see Aristori trying to collapse on this position. And we dive on top of the tank. We get at least a tank. Get the skin. Show us a fungal. Ooh, decent fungal. But where's the follow-up? Mainly Hydras. This Zerg army is gonna melt. And likewise here on the left-hand side, the Ultras went down as well. That was an expensive loss for Aristori, and now he's in a lot of trouble. He threw away his Ultras, he threw away his Hydras. We spoke about this, but pushing into a defensive line like this with Lingbane Hydra, not ideal. You can take fights on the map, but pushing into bases, that's a different story. And you can see FoxeR take an amazing trade. Aristori, he needs time to remax. He lost so much. Yeah, this goal base is going to be denied. We can see Aristori, he wants to try to collapse on this position, but mainly with Lings. We'll take down some of these ghosts. They were left behind. 2 ghosts go down. And we're going to chase this down, actually. We want some more of these ghosts. We will get them. More ghosts get caught out. SCV is going to be crashed into by those banelings. At the same time, we have Ultras pushing towards the south, getting into these planetaries. Planetary is going to be denied, but Aristori did overextend a little bit once again. And Aristori, he's burning through his bank. He's running out of money. He needs this gold base up and running. Oof. Yeah, without it, you can see the Aristori, he has no minerals. No, where are we going? We need to get the gold. And without it, FoxeR's going to max out first. Again, FoxeR, he's had the better economy for most of this game, and he continues to maintain the better economy here with all these CCs. Is running out of minerals in some of these areas. Is a little bit oversaturated, true. The gold still not being mined from. And again, this army from Aristori is being outscaled. Like, the reality is that this Ghost Liberator army here is outscaling Aristori. We can catch it, goes from pushing into this. It's not going to work out. So we get a fungal, but that's it. We only get the fungal. Drones are falling. Double Liberator here towards the top left. The economy for Aristori is crippled, and he cannot remax. Not anymore. FoxeR snowballing out of control. It was a back and forth. FoxeR, though, he did have a lot of momentum from the early game, from the early to mid game here. And he can stand and deliver. No Banelings, he can just stim and win. The snipes go off, the Hydras go down. And FoxeR, he has done it. He's broken the army here of Aristori. We have a handful of Lings on the way. They're trickling in. Not the best trade for the Zerg player. Behind this, still no mining towards the top left. These libs are getting out of hand. This is also why Corruptors are necessary. Corruptors could be peeled away to deal with these. Hydras take so long to traverse the map. Again, the libs, they do reign supreme. Good EMP here on some of these infestors. Corruptors are coming in, but it may just be too little too late. Aristori is in a lot of trouble. He's long distance mining. The libs, they don't stop. They come in from both angles, from both ends. Aristori down to 56 drones. And here comes the Lib Ghost. How many Liberators do we have? We have 15 Libs, we have 9 Ghosts. More drones are falling here. Get with Lib range, these spores are not good enough. Not anymore. We have our Corruptors here towards the bottom right, trying to keep up with the main army. Space is going to be denied. And again, FoxeR is maxed out here. He's at 200 supply. Shuts down bottom right, denying top left. And now we can push in. Keep on pushing. We do have some Ling Bane here on the ground. We can maybe catch FoxeR off guard with it, maybe, but Bane connections are good. But GG gets called. There's not much else behind this, and FoxeR will take game number 1. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Again, FoxeR was so aggressive and so assertive in this game, trading insanely well here with his first bio push as well, and Aristori, he was kind of stuck defending for a long time there. He was stuck on the back foot, stuck trying to maintain his bases, maintain his creep, and as a result, FoxeR was so greedy. He was so greedy behind it, taking the top left very quickly, taking the gold base as well, and it took a very long time for Aristori to realize what was happening, and for Aristori to gain enough map control to start harassing, and by the time he did, it did feel a little bit too late. It did feel a little bit too late. Not just that, not just the fact that FoxeR got away with such a booming economy. On top of that, we also had Aristori overextending quite often and sticking with a mid-tier army, sticking with Ling Bane, Hydra, not really incorporating too many spellcasters. He had like a couple of Vipers and a couple of Infestors here and there, but never really fully made use of them. And yeah, we saw him have some really rough engagements pushing into these like entrenched positions here with Ghosts, Marines, Tanks, Liberators. That was some rough trades. But with that, FoxeR does take a lead. It's a best of 3. I know that we've been casting a lot of best of 1s tonight. We just wrapped up with OC King of the Hill, but now we can indulge in our best of 3s in a longer series, a more back and forth. I'm hoping for an ace match, but we'll see. We shall see. Here we go. We're getting ready for game number 2. I shouted to Bruno in the chat. Oh, Orsa. Ah, thank you. Hope you enjoyed the show matches. Hope you enjoyed the games. Big shout out to Dolan. Big shout out. But here we go. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Solaris, we have a red Zerg player. A Polish Zerg representing Twisted Minds. It is Aristori. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the player leading this series 1-0. The American Terran representing Berserker Esports. It is FoxeR. Major Glory in the chat. I saw a Greater Spire. Yeah, there was a Spire, there was a Greater Spire towards the end, but again, that was all late. It was all insanely late, and I mean, by the time we saw Corruptors, by the time we would have seen Broodlords as well, FoxeR just had too much momentum at that point. He had just too much map control, and too many trades had gone his way. Aristori was being pulled apart, and we'll see how he does adapt here in game number 2. What I will say is that game 1 on Alcyone, as we mentioned at the time, is very much so lends towards late game play and just macro play, just because of how defendable a lot of these bases are. So FoxeR was able to take full advantage of that. Aristori wasn't able to really take advantage of the map itself, and the map was working against Aristori. It did feel that way. Here on Solaris, I would say it's easier to be aggressive, and if we decide to stay on Ling Bane Hydra the way that Aristori did in game 1, he would have more success here on game 2. He'd have more success on Solaris. So if he did want to play that style again, I think it'd serve him a little bit better. But we shall see, as the SCV Scout is going to be moving across the map. Just getting confirmation of the hatch timing, making sure that it is indeed a hatch gas pool. Standard opener here from our Zerg player. The GG was thrown down. The spray. And Aristori behind this is going to be setting up his third base. So again, standard opener from both players, both our Zerg and our Terran. Now I imagine we're going to be seeing another third CC before Starport, but we'll see. We'll keep our eye on FoxeR. Also, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Hello, Colossal Gulp in the chat. Oh, back. Hope everyone's been having a good time. Reaper does rock up. Oh. Gonna be dancing with those lings. Doesn't quite get any lings though, and the queens come out just in time. God, those lings got very low. Ooh. But Aristori will hold. Yeah, big shout to everyone in the chat. I saw Istan did arrive first in the chat as well. Oh, as we barely did not get the tumor. Shout to Istan, shout to Frost, of course. We have Easy Phil, Yaku, Este. Go to bed, Yaku, go to bed. Colossal Tracks and L. Major Glory, welcome, welcome. Hope you're all having a great day. Maybe having a great weekend full of StarCraft. Again, our third broadcast of the day. Let's go home. All of the casting. We don't stop. Not here. Not on the Cranky Ducklings. I was very tempted to go from OC King of the Hill into a replay cast into this event, but the chat did convince me to take a break, so I had like an hour to get some food and to rest up before diving into this. Shout out to the chat. As we have our opener, and this time it's a 1-1-1. This time there is no third CC, so a very aggressive opener here out of FoxeR, rushing into a much faster add-on swap, a much faster Banshee. Look, Banshees are on the way. So FoxeR, there is going to be a lot of pressure on him. So FoxeR, he has chosen not to throw. Oh my god, we throw down a Rax as well. A very delayed third. This could even lead into a 2-base all-in. That's going to be 3 racks set up here on 2 bases. The third base is heavily delayed here, and we are building up quite a hefty army. Show us what you got. Overlord dives in, we get confirmation of the Raxes, we get confirmation of the Starport already done with the Researching Cloak. And we'll see if Aristori can put 2 and 2 together. The fact that these Raxes are very early and there is no CC, there is no command center. Well, good positioning! Very, very slick moves. Aristori does get in position, does wall off. Hellions are going to be threatening a dive towards the would-be 4th. Rotating around, Queens are keeping up. We have plenty of links here in position as well. Remember, the Hellion dive in game 1 killed 10 workers. It was from that moment that FoxeR was in the driver's seat. Speaking of, Banshee rocks up on the right-hand side. We do have a Spore in position. That's 2 more. This is a 2-base all-in. That is 2 more Raxes, 5 racks on 2 bases. Straight up 2-base all-in here out of FoxeR. It's all or nothing for our American Terran. We go from a long macro game in game 1 into hyper aggression in game 2. Let's go. And Aristori is still not aware. Like, he does see the delayed third, that is true, but he doesn't know how committed this is. We do have a lair on the way, we do have a Baneling Nest as well. Thankfully, Aristori isn't cutting corners. He isn't delaying his lair to go into faster upgrades. So Aristori basically is going to be prioritizing Baneling speed, which is a good thing. Baneling speed is going to be on the horizon here for our Zerg player. But will it come out in time? Because we're building up more Marines, Stim, +1, combat shields, tank count getting higher and higher as well for FoxeR. It's going to be quite a hefty army. We may even pull the boys. Not going to lie, we may just pull the boys with this as well. Why not? Double upgrades with double Evo chambers. Aristori has joined up to 74. Oh, we went running up even further. This could kill us, by the way. Aristori is joining up to 80. I was going to say up to 70 would be like the max that I would go for, but Aristori, he's being so greedy. I don't think he realized what's been going on. Aristori, he's not aware of how much danger he's under, and here we go. We're pushing in from the left-hand side towards the fresh mining 4th base. Lings are amassing. We have 5 Banelings to defend. Boy. Here we go, the army stimming on forward. We are woefully underprepared. These Banelings are not going to connect. They're slow Banes, bear that in mind. We can be aggressive, we can be proactive, we can shut this down. But these Banelings, they do barely finish. Okay, FoxeR slowly taking his time here, edging his way towards the fourth. The longer this goes on, the better it is for Aristori. Aristori's got 22 Lings in production. Time is on his side. Hatchery is going to be going down, but we need to keep going. Lings, they come in from behind as well. We're getting on top of the tanks. The Marines will stand strong. It looks like one tank is not going to go down. FoxeR, he maintains this position. Both tanks survive. We should be denying the space once again. And Aristori, he needs to build up. He needs to bank up. Ooh, Overlord's going to be falling. We could even get supply blocked. The Overlords. I do think that FoxeR could have been a little bit more aggressive. I think he could have been more assertive earlier, I'll be honest. But we'll see if he can still pull this off. He throws down a third. No shots. Very late third base here from FoxeR. And bearing in mind, he may have killed the base, but Aristori, he saved the drones. The drones did survive. And again, the longer this goes on, the better it is for Aristori. We can see FoxeR transitioning out of this all in. Can he pull this off? Failing speed is now done. Does peel off a couple units, does come across the would-be fourth, will force a cancel. Very nicely done. Fourth base is cancelled. Late rotation here from Aristori. Late round by gets cleaned up. Aristori knocked down to 3 bases. This is still good for FoxeR. This is okay. Aristori still has an insane drone count, but not able to mine efficiently. So we are going for the drop into the main base. Very efficient trade here. A lot of Lings go down. Good target back. Good target firing. Banelings go down. Lings as well. We get on top of the Queen. At the same time, we're pushing our way in between the bases. Not a lot of Marines here, but it's going to be enough. GG gets called as we break the Zerg player, and FoxeR will take the series 2-0. GG. Whew. GG, well played. I was concerned that FoxeR was taking a little bit too long with his all-in. That he had killed the fourth base, but he needed more of a fire lit under him. Despite that, though, it was still more than enough. And again, Aristori was too greedy. He droned up to 80 against a 2-base all-in. He should have died to the first push, I'll be honest. Aristori was far too greedy there, just far too economic. Didn't realize what was happening, didn't realize that an all-in was coming his way. And Aristori was caught with his pants down. And congratulations. Congratulations for FoxeR for taking the win. GG, well played. With that, FoxeR will advance on into the next round, where he has his next opponent ready and waiting.